Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for joining me today.
I know how busy you are, so it was really nice that you met some time for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll always try because I believe in everything you do. I believe in dance, and I think if you are doing some good in this world for dancers, I think it's a good thing.
Oh, thank you. So
it's very easy for people to surmise, what a wonderful life you've got. Oh, she's doing So You Think You Can Dance. She's directing this, she's directing that. But you never really know what is going on behind the scenes, and how you actually started and the hard work that goes into the beginning of your career.
So how did you start?
Well, I had one of those stage school mums. Oh my goodness.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Mum wanted me to be a star, that's for sure. And I think she always wanted to be a dancer but never actually made it. So I was always going into dance, but I was also acting as well, and I loved acting. And then I went to various auditions, and that's the one thing which is not a great thing, and this is one thing I really need to say to everybody. You go for auditions, and sometimes, like today, I'm auditioning. There will be kids there here today. I'm auditioning for Peter Pan that will come in, do a great audition, but they don't get the job. And they walk away from here thinking, why didn't I get the job? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get the job? And that's what happened to me. I was kind of about 15, I was going for various auditions, but it wasn't that I didn't have the talent. I was rehearsing, I was going to class, but what I didn't have was maybe the right look. Maybe not the right height. The wrong hair colouring. It's all of those things.
It's all those little things you have no control over.
And then what happened was, for a bet, I was asked to go along to a dance audition. My friend said to me, I bet you can't go along to this dance routine for the BBC. They're looking for some new dancers for a new company. It was called the Young Generation.
Okay.
A dance company that the BBC owned, in fact. And she said to me, you go along and I'll give you £1. Well, £1 in 71 was a lot of money. So I thought, I can do this. So I went along for this audition. There were hundreds of girls. Hundreds of girls, and they wanted 2 because they had most of the girls. So I'm halfway through the audition, and the funny thing is, the person that was taking the audition was Nigel Lythgoe, who eventually I married, of course.
Wow.
I know. So I went along for this audition, they whittled it down, and I actually found it hard to do. I don't know, I was a bit despondent. I thought, there's all these people that are here, they only want 2, I'm not going to get it. So never do this, anybody, ever. I decided I wasn't going to stay, and I decided I'm not staying at this audition, I'm not going to get it, which is so not me, because I'm such a person that will push myself through. So anyway, I started walking towards the door, and the producer, a guy called Stuart Morris, said to me, where are you going? And I said, I'm leaving. And he said, why? And I said, it's a waste of time, I'm not going to get this job, and I'm going to go. I felt in my head I was going to go back to another acting job, and that this dancing, which was great, but it was more about personality and everything. I thought, I'm not going to get it. So he stopped me and said, we want you to stay. So I went, okay, I'll stay. So I actually completed the audition. And I can't say I was the best dancer there, because I wasn't the best ballet dancer. I was great at modern, jazz, tap, improvisation, musical theatre, but I would say ballet was probably my weakest. And I just thought, well, that's what they're looking for great technical dancers, and I didn't feel I was good enough. Anyway, I got to the end of the audition, and here you have to put your details down, and I went off and forgot all about it. And about a week later, the producer rang me up and said, we love you, we've got the company going, we're doing a whole live TV series, and we start in 6 weeks. We're going to put you on a contract for 6 weeks, see how you go. And I stayed, I think, wait a minute, I've got to work this out. Been about 8 years, I think. I think it's been about 8 years. So, and in the meantime, of course, I married Nigel, which was not the best.
Really?
Well, I married him in 74 and I joined 71, actually.
Okay, and is that how you met him?
Through the audition. He was the audition. I didn't even like him. He was horrible. and he didn't even like me, to be honest with you. I think he thought I wasn't a strong enough dancer, although I was, but I just felt that he wanted more, but at the same time, I had great personality, they said, and so therefore the combination was right. But yeah, I was on the shortlist, but I think I was about reserved, but I got it. So that was a good thing. And then I joined them, and they wanted me to do a year contract, which I did. And as I say, I probably stayed about 7 or 8 years. And then I do not know how Nigel and I kind of got together. I just don't know. I was actually seeing somebody, so was he, and we became friends.
Yeah.
But I tell you something, this is a warning to all you people.
Yeah.
Going out with the choreographer is not a great idea. Oh my gosh, it was really difficult. I think we kind of became friends, and then we started seeing each other. But suddenly, when I was kind of near the front, he was pushing me towards the back because he felt, oh, I can't favour Bonnie.
Yeah,
I
right.
can't favour Bonnie. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
And the other thing was, for those future dancers who are going to marry choreographers,
Yeah.
the other thing was that at the end of the day, it could have been a really hard day. I wanted to have a go at him and say, excuse me, but that was a horrible day, and the routine was tough, and I was at the back, and my pirouettes were off, and he'd say, dance over, day over, what are we having for dinner, where are we going? And I used to think, but I want to talk about the day.
Yeah.
So it was very hard.
To compartment.
Don't want to ask questions. And I always say to dancers, quite often at an audition, you know, I hold lots of auditions and castings, I quite often say, if you have a problem, tell us.
Yeah.
Don't get on with it, because I think that's what happened to me when I auditioned for The Young Generation, the BBC show I was telling you about. The reason I didn't really get it at the beginning, because I was scared to ask the question.
Yeah.
I was scared to ask, was that a développé there? Do we land on that foot? Where did the arm go?
Yeah.
And I always say, if you're in doubt, ask. And the other thing, of course, is if you ask, you're usually remembered.
Yeah, right.
If you actually do say something.
Yeah.
So I do think comparing acting to dancing
Yeah.
is harder as a dancer.
Yeah. The person who, you know, goes on to do great things.
There is another thing that I often think about. I have a 12-year-old granddaughter called Dominique Lithgow. She's a phenomenal ballet dancer.
Yeah.
She's at the moment, goes up to Brisbane 4 times a week. She has homeschooling because she's with the Australian ballet up there. She's amazing. I mean, more than I would ever be. And her mum was a ballet dancer too.
Right.
And what I find fascinating about her is she walks around the room at the house all the time. She's always doing something. She is checking out her fouettes or whatever it might be.
Amazing.
She's always doing stuff. But I do worry sometimes with her. This is another area which is interesting. She comes from a successful background.
Yeah.
So she's got Nigel, she's got me, and both our sons are producers.
Yeah. And her mother's a ballerina.
Mum's a ballerina. And I do wonder sometimes whether that pushes you further or does it take you back. Mm-hmm. So this is something that Dominique will have to deal with herself.
Figure out herself.
She will, because I know sometimes when she's doing the Eisteddfods or when she's doing rehearsals,
They recognise the last name.
they do, and I've had to stop going because that's the other thing. So when she wins everything, she comes first in everything, but then she said to me, do you think you could not come? And I went, that's what you want. And not to be mean, but because she felt that I was influencing her coming first or second or wherever.
And she wants to make sure she's getting it for herself.
Yes. So that was a tricky one. And I said, absolutely. So yes, her name is there. And sometimes it goes against her because if they recognise the name, they think, oh, you think you're wonderful, well, whatever.
They want to bring you down.
They want to bring you down a peg. On the other side of the coin, sometimes I hope that the judges are sensible enough to judge her on how good she is and her talent, not because of the name.
Yeah.
But I do think that with some people that are in that situation, that's another tough thing to deal with.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
She's only 12.
So what's new? What's next for you?
Well, I'm actually here today at this dance centre to audition for Peter Pan.
Yeah.
We start rehearsals in a couple of weeks actually. And we're doing it at the Pasadena Playhouse, and we haven't announced the cast yet, but the cast is fantastic.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking for today are the Lost Boys, and we're going to take some girls and some boys, and I've got a choreographer coming in, and he's going to set stuff so that I can look constructively at the kids. I'm looking for personality. and I'm looking for talent, really. Now, here's the thing. Some of the kids that are going to come today will have auditioned for me before and got the job. Because
Right.
last year we did, what the heck did we do last year? Sleeping Beauty. Now, every show is different. So last year with Sleeping Beauty, it was more technical, more balletic, and so we took what we thought were right. Now, some of these dancers who are coming back, because I make them all audition again, and they're only going to be young, they're going to be young kids between maybe 9 to 14, 15
Right.
for this particular job. Some of these dancers will be expecting to get this job, and they're going to be really upset when they don't. But I believe that a director with this kind of age group needs to say, and I'm going to say, look, there's a lot of you here today. Some of you have worked with me before, and you won't be working with me on the next show, and then I'll explain why.
Yeah.
Because this is a very different show.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I'm not saying it makes them it any easier for them,
Yeah,
but
it's understanding.
an understanding. I mean, and often people, they'll come up to me afterwards and say, why didn't I? And I say, because you weren't right for it, you actually were technically not strong enough, or you... I try and be honest, I don't want to turn around and say you're absolutely useless. I try and avoid that one.
Yeah, that doesn't help anyone.
No. So I'm doing that, sorry.
No.
So I'm doing that, and then I've got to fly to Oz on
Yeah.
Tuesday.
I know.
Because...
Crazy.
I know.
You just landed from London.
I know, and I've got such jet lag. But I've got to go down because we're doing Cinderella at the State Theatre next year.
Right.
And we're looking, well, we've actually just started casting because it goes on sale next week, actually.
Okay.
And we're just beginning to cast it, so I want to get some good names out there before Christmas if I can.
Yeah.
And then I'll start casting next year. And this is going to get annoyed with some...
love.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always taught as a teacher when I was doing my training that if you criticise, you must compliment somewhere along the lines. Maybe not that day, but if
Yeah.
you're pulling somebody apart because of whatever it might be, their technique, at some point that dance is going to be better than.
Yeah.
And you have to acknowledge that as well as.
Yeah.
do
Because,
that.
again, it's the balance, because some kids, if they think they're better than what they are, because they have parents or someone that keeps
Yeah.
telling them that they are, then they feel like they've already got it or they've already earned it, so they stop working for it. You know, so and then you got the other kids, and then you got the other side of the coin. So it's really, it's just, you know, so much psychology behind it.
Oh, you have to be a psychologist to actually
you
deal
do.
with it. You know, oh my goodness. I mean, we actually tried in America doing a Junior Idol for a year, but it was too tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to do Junior I'm So You Think You Could Dance.
Yeah,
I'd
love
love to do
that.
that. I'd love to do
Yeah.
that too. And I've pushed it, but it's... Where does the bullying stop
Yeah.
and the criticism start, but a good criticism? I mean, I know I would never bully, but I know that my criticism would be constructive criticism.
Yeah, of course.
But how do you know the other people would do that? How do you know you wouldn't end up with Simon Cowell?
Yeah.
How would you know that you wouldn't end up with somebody like him
Yeah.
that could tear a child's heart apart?
Yeah.
So whatever you do,
Yeah. I think if you're running it, for example, I think you'll
Yeah.
definitely hire the right people
love to.
who understand kids, who probably taught kids, and again, like I find with dancers and coming from that side of things.
It may do. It
Yeah.
may do. I mean, I know that back in the 80s, I was head of performing arts at
Yeah.
Italia Conti, which is a big London college, and they had canteens and food, and a lot of the time I felt that they weren't helping
Yeah.
the dancers, the students,
Because of what they offered.
what they offered.
Yeah.
And then luckily, I think 4 or 5 years later, they had a salad bar, and we had a long talk about it all, and we said the salad bar should be the main bar. But on the other hand, we don't want anorexic kids. We don't want them
Yeah.
not to eat.
Yeah.
It's such a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Do you know there's still a school in London, I won't name it, but they still weigh their dancers in and out every day. I hate that.
Yeah,
I
no.
do hate that.
It can't be about that either.
No,
you
it
know?
can't be
It
about
can't
that.
Because you are giving them unhealthy body issues. But I do find it definitely comes down to eating healthy. I
Yes.
think if the kids eat healthy and still put in the hours that they do for dance, it'll even out. You know, they'll be, even if their body is naturally bigger, like if they're big boned or they have thicker legs or whatever, if it's not going to turn into fat if you're not putting,
That's right.
you know, the
That's
fat
right.
into your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because we got heaps of working dancers in Australia who are fake, but they're toned. you
Oh
know?
yeah, and I like that.
I like that too, because
I
you're
really
still an
do.
athlete.
Yes.
You know,
I
so
think
you
it's
need to look
actually
like an
nicer.
athlete. Yeah.
When they've got a bit of a body and a bit of a
Yeah.
figure.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
can see the strength in them.
Yeah.
But
Do you think it sounds like I'm interviewing you but now? But I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Do you think that, and this happened on one of the So You Think You Could Dance, there was a
Yeah.
girl, a brilliant dancer, and she came along, but she was definitely overweight.
Yeah.
But she was toned, but she was still a little bit overweight. Now, in the end, we didn't take her, but I think she knew she was overweight.
Yeah.
And so I think she was on the way down when she came into the audition, because in her heart of hearts,
she knew.
she knew.
Yeah.
Now, she was a really great dancer, and she
Yeah.
should have been in that top 20.
Yeah.
She didn't get in it because she simply was overweight, and you know, it's not just about one judge, it's about 3 judges,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
No, it's again, I think as long as it's healthy, like just healthy eating, you know, and for her to be that good, you know, she's putting the hours.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's just about her eating all
Yeah.
the bad food,
Yeah.
which in the long run isn't good either. So I think that's really important for dancers to understand. It's like, don't think just because you're putting 15 hours or 20 hours or 30 hours of dance a week in that you can just eat whatever you want.
No, that's absolutely right.
You know, because then in 10 years' time, it's gonna come back.
And hit you in
know,
the face.
yeah, or literally in your stomach, or you know, with disease or injury as well.
Yes.
Because you got to be strong.
Yes.
So I think if you do the kids one, it'll definitely be about maybe having a conversation about health.
Yes.
I think doing a junior one would be incredible as well.
I do too, because I
So much talent.
there's so much talent, and when I auditioned, what did I do last year? It wasn't last year, we didn't have children. Here's another thought for you. When we did the first season of what the heck did we do the first year? Snow White.
Yeah.
We had kids. We auditioned. The queues were down the road,
Yeah.
round the corner, and we took. I think we took 16.
Yeah.
And we had 16 one team. No, sorry, 8 in one team and 8 in the other team. Great dancers, huge amount of talent there. I mean, that's why I wanted to do the juniors. When we came to do Aladdin last year, we didn't take young dancers because the costing of them was ridiculous. We took 2 extra grown-up dancers,
Right.
because we had to pay more or
Yeah.
less the same amount for juniors as you do for seniors.
Yeah.
So nobody would be that silly not to take them. And I do feel that when I come back down in a couple of weeks, when we start doing Cinderella, here's my dilemma. I want to put juniors in.
Yeah.
I want to do some ballet stuff. I want juniors in. But if it's going to cost me more than dancers,
Yeah.
how can I? Why isn't there some way that juniors can get the experience in a theatre, in the state theatre, with
Yeah.
professional dancers,
Yeah.
and they can even be 14 coming up 15 that
Yeah.
are just about to approach
Yeah.
when they become a professional
Yeah.
dancer. But unless we give them that amount of money, I mean, I'm in discussions now with it, because I want to employ juniors,
Yeah.
but I
hard.
can't. It's hard because
Yeah.
I don't want to pay the same amount as I do for 2 dancers.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is that?
It's to do
Legislation?
with, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm
Because I understand, like, there's the rules about you can only work certain hours and
Which we do.
which is fine. But why the money?
Yeah.
They should be paid normal rate.
normal rate, or a big money to go towards a school teaching or
Yeah,
something like that. There
something.
should be,
Yeah.
yeah, without question.
Yeah.
And that really gets to me, because I want to use juniors, because I
Yeah.
think,
But it kind of ties your hands.
I know.
Yeah.
So when I get back down there, I'm going to try and have a couple of meetings and see what can be done. I mean, I don't have to really think seriously about it till February, March of next year,
Yeah.
about the juniors, but I do want to get things moving
Yeah.
as soon as I can, because that's a stumbling block for me. Because given opportunities for young people, say you take the children that do professional shows, let's take Billy Elliot, what opportunities these children have.
Yeah.
But how incredible is it if the kids could come along and do auditions and see how auditions are, because that will help them into their
Yeah,
future. Even if
absolutely.
they're denied that one, they're getting used to it.
Yeah.
And they'll come
Yeah.
back and do more.
Yeah.
So we have to somehow encourage that with the people that we
Giving
need to talk-
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
So I'm heading that way.
Yeah. I think there is, like, in Australia, especially, there's a huge, I guess, interest in kids, like kids who dance. Like it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And these kids are freaks. Like they're you know, working harder, they want it more. And I think you know, So You Think You Can Dance, and like America has a huge influence.
Yes.
And especially, you know, being able to follow all this dance on social media and everything, that's really pushing all these younger kids to strive. And so I definitely think if you did a Kids So You Think, you'd have some brilliant dancers.
I do. I'd like to see that, because I think that's a big stepping stone into their future.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, you'll be able to do it properly without getting too consumed with the politics of it, because you know, at the end of the day, it's a reality TV show, it's a dance show. So if you're going to be, if you don't audition, if you're not going to put in the hard work, or don't audition if you don't have the emotional and mental capacity to handle something like that. And I know that most kids can, you know, and I think a lot of the times grown-ups undermine the kids' abilities. Like I think if we push them to reach something, they usually do. They want to be told that they can do it. You know, and a lot of the times we're constantly telling them they can't do it because it's too hard, or you know, it's not fair on you or whatever. But I think they should. If you tell them they can do it, they'll do it.
No, I totally agree. It's being positive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And always giving some encouragement, always encourage. Although you got to be honest, it's really tough. Why in the world would you want to be a dancer? Why in the world? What do we do? We kill ourselves to do this. We train forever. We do auditions after auditions. We don't always get the jobs. Yet we're good. We go back for more. And we may not get that, but eventually we do. We still struggle. We're the first in the morning. My dancers are in, they're warming up. In come the principals an hour later, we carry on. They're the last out at night. And then they haven't got hardly any money. Most of them go on the bus or the train. And yet they're back the next morning and there they are again.
On every show, every production, dancers get paid the least. Have the least on camera time, but work the hardest. I know. But it is, you know, that's why I think it's a passion job.
It's definitely a passion job. And you just can't explain it to people, but it's life. It's within. It's, if you're having a bad day, take over a studio and dance the day away.
Definitely. Well, thank you for the chat.
It's nice. You're welcome. Really I hope I answered a few of your questions.
Yeah, you did. No, it's great.